everybody, it's MC from Not Just Scrapbooks, and I'm going to try and get this done correctly. I am changing the angle from which I videotape, so hopefully this will work for everybody. I'm not sure, but hey, it's worth a shot. So let's just see what happens. I'm going to be working on making the folders that everybody's been asking me for, and one of the nice things about working with this mini binder as my smash is that it's very durable. If you want to see, the dimensions of the book itself are roughly 9 by about 8 across. And if you look inside, it takes regular 8 3/4. That's kind of strange. It must be 8 1/2 and my, whoops. Let's just take a better look here and just take, because the papers are kind of smooshed into here. Let me open this and show you. This is the binder that I had been keeping all my extras in. And so here you go. It's the regular size. I think that's supposed to be 8 1/2 by 5 1/2, which is half of a sheet of 8 1/2 by 11 cardstock, which of course is not what we're going to use to make folders. Folders are really easy to make with a 12 by 12 sheet of paper, so that's what we're going to be using. In the Staples that I bought these from, and I'm not even sure that they still stock them, but I was also able to get page protectors. Project sheets, which are upside down here, so I guess that means that you'll be able to see them correctly. So they're projects, so you can have action notes, the start date, and the due date for your project. So that's always nice to have. Then there's 4 by 6 sheets to put inspiration pictures or whatnot, and then you can use regular size notepaper. And Staples also had something that I really like, which is these envelopes, plastic envelopes, to just throw in anything that you want to. So that was kind of the basis of some of the stuff. I'm planning on working on my journal for the Mirren Smith 31-day journal challenge, and she said that we didn't have to use the templates on her website. I may download a couple of them, but since the object here is to show you how I did my folders in this smash book that you've looked at, again, I'm going to turn this around, and this one has a pocket here. It opens up like this, and then it has another pocket there, and then it's got pockets here. Okay? Now if you look at it, and you look at the dimension here, the dimension here is 12. And if you look at this, I've got a dimension here of 8 1/2, but then I also have 3 1/2 here. So really, 8 1/2 plus 3 1/2 is just a little shy of 12. Okay, actually it is 12 because it would be 8 by 4. So if you look at it that way, then you know that you can take a 12 by 12 sheet of paper, fold it up at 3 1/2 inches. Then all I did was I split right here. I cut a little piece off, and then I rounded my corners, and then I used a very strong two-sided tape. I think when I did this, I actually used the red label tape, which I wasn't able to get, so I recently bought this instead, which is score tape, and I believe that that will work as well, and I will eventually put some of this in my Etsy store. So if you go to my blog at mccplg.blogspot.com, there's a link to my Etsy store, and I will eventually get some of this on there if you're looking to get some. So that is how easy this one was, and I wanted to have pockets in the front, so all I did is I cut another piece that is 2.5, sorry, by 6. And actually, knowing me, because I don't like to work more than I have to, I think that what I did is I just cut a 12 by 12 piece of paper, and I took 2.5 inches off. I folded it in half so that it would go through here, and in order to open this, this is now on the 3 rings, because I took it out of the binder, and this is what happens when you take your Smash book back out of the binder, and then you can reuse the binder, which is the whole idea. So this is now more like a mini book, but it started off in a couple of binders. And that's kind of the nice thing, that if you have a lot of stuff that you want to carry around or put, you can do it in more than one binder, and you will end up with a pretty nice thick mini album at the end that I haven't decorated yet, but hey, that's not the important part. So if I were to open this up, I think you would see, and I don't know if you can see, but see, it does go right through here. So you can just use score tape all here, all the way across, and then back up here, and you've created yet another pocket. Okay, it's not the only pocket I made. I made loads and loads and loads of pockets, and I even made very simple pockets on one side, like this one is a single pocket, and I probably used the paper to do something else. So again, nothing more than 6 by a total of 12, and in this case there are 3.5 inches folded up, and then I put score tape here, just here and here, to create the pocket. This one is fairly similar. Again, it's in this case I took out the extra inches. I did not use them because I wanted a pocket that just went like this. And so all I did is I folded my 12 by 12 paper, and then I cut it at 8.5, and then I took the corner and I just folded it back and glued it down. And then I wanted to make sure that this was nice and sturdy, so that if I put something in it, it wouldn't bust open. So I cut little pieces of paper from what I had trimmed off, and this one is just under an inch, probably about 3/4 of an inch by, again, 12, and I just actually by 6 in this case, since I didn't need to go all the way over. So this is 6 inches this way, and it is probably 1.5 inches wide, because I folded it, so which would be about the right size. And I did the same thing on a piece that comes up here again, and I think this one is just about an inch wide. So just leftovers of from what I cut, using the opposite side of the paper so that it kind of matches. And then I probably used some of the trim, and one of the things I did with these papers is these sides I think were open, but I wanted to put it in here, so I think I used an X-Acto knife, I did, on one of these to be able to slide the paper in. Okay, what do we got here? Okay, this one is another one that is just one-sided. So again, that's 6 inches wide by 12 inches long, and all I did was I folded up the paper about 2 3/4 inches up, and I just glued that side and that side. The die cuts with the view one is a little bit more complicated, just because I wanted to have a contrast. So in addition to the 12 by 12 paper, again, as you can see, it's a full 12 inches. If I put it so that you can see, it's a full 12 inches if it's flattened. And it was a full 12 inches this way. And all I did was I, again, folded it up. And in this case, it's about, again, 3.5 inches up. But I found that I really wanted to have like a contrast. So I took a piece of black cardstock that was 5 inches by 12. So I cut off a 5-inch piece, and I glued that before I glued the flap over. And I just adhered it completely down all the way around. And then again, all I did was I folded this in half, and I glued down each of the sides, and that gave me a nice big pocket. Now, what did I do to this one? In this case, you'll see it's accordion folded. So what I did is I took my 12 by 12 piece of paper, and again it's 6 inches, but if you were to open it up, it would be a full 12 inches. And then I cut it at 8.5. So I cut my paper 8.5. I kept the full 12 inches. And then I used my remnants to do a few things. One of the things I did is I took a piece that was, let me see here, about an inch, maybe a little, more like 1.5 inches. And I may have to do a video on this technique, but all I did was I used my score pal, or you can use your Martha Stewart scoring board, and I scored it at, I think that's 1/4. That's right, I scored it at 1/4 inch, 1/4 inch here, and basically 1/4, 1/4, 1/4, and 1/4. So 3 scores. Okay, so you get 4 parts. And then all I did was I glued that inside and created this expandable pocket. Now there's nothing in it because sometimes they give you flyers and stuff, but a lot of what happened at the CHA was that they gave a lot of catalogs out, big fat catalogs, so they didn't fit in here. And I never went back and just took out what I wanted, because I have a distributor that sends me pictures of stuff. So now, so what, again, you have a 1 inch, actually I think it's more like 1.25 inches. 1.25 inch piece by 12, and then I cut it in half, and then I scored it at the half point, and then I scored it halfway between the mid and the side. So I may have to go over this one more carefully because it's a bit more complicated. And then all I did was I used 2 pieces of paper, because the other side is this is an Echo Park paper, and I wanted the tab to be, so I cut out 2 pieces that were, let me see here, I really don't usually measure much, but it's 3 inches by 1 inch, and I glued the pieces together up to here, and then I have one leg on this side and one leg on that side. It makes it pretty sturdy. And then I used half a piece of little circles of Velcro, and I used that to close it off, and I just put a little button for, you know, with a glue dot for decoration and a piece of twine in it. I actually did buy that. Let me see. This one is just off a little bit. So again, same principle. 8.5 by 6. In this case, it is a single piece of paper, though it feels like it's 2 sides, but it's not. It's just cut. And then again, I fold it up at about 3 inches. And the reason it's 3 inches is because I cut it down. I wanted to be able to have a contrasting piece, and all that is just another piece of cardstock about 1 inch wide and 6 inches long that I folded to give a contrast between. I also purchased these and I'm going to put these on my Etsy store for purchase. And then when I put it in, I decided that I had punched the holes in the wrong place. Okay, and a lot of creativity is the result of stupidity, in my world anyway. And so I had to change the holes, and I wanted to make sure it would be nice and solid. So I cut just another little piece of paper, probably 1.25 inches, folded it in half, glued it down, and then I used eyelets, which I don't use very often. And just so that it would balance a little bit, I added 2 eyelets on this side to keep the pocket closed. So there you go. This one is Graphic 45, and it is a very strange envelope, I know. I've got some pictures in there. Again, the basic is going to be a full 12-inch piece cut to 8.5, and then I use the remnant and I cut, because that's the inside of the paper, as you can see, and I use the remnant and I cut it 8.5 by 1 3/4. So that's, again, it's 8.5 by 2 3/4, and then I adhered it to one side of the cardstock, and I did another one of the, I don't know if you can see this, but I did another one of the accordion folds at the bottom so that it would have room. Remember, I did all of this in anticipation of going to CHA last summer, so and in this case I rounded the corner. I did a fold and I creased it twice, so you can tell that it's got a bit of width in case there would have been width in here. And I could have, if I had wanted to, put another piece and close it all off, but I decided I wanted to leave it open like that. And again, it's just closed with a half circle of Velcro. And I just created a little tab here that is 1 3/4 by about 1.5, and rounded the corners. Here's Tim, and that's me. I know you're seeing more of me in these pictures than usual. I do love Tim, and I get a picture with him every time I get, he's, you know, we're in the same room. It's a tradition, and he was actually really, really nice to take this picture with me because he was busy talking to a whole bunch of people. He wasn't in his booth. He was actually like in the Ranger booth, not in his own ideology booth. And he came over and let me take a picture, so that was really cool. Again, it's a full 12-inch piece of paper, folded in half, and again, it doesn't really matter how high you make this. In this case, for some reason, I decided I wanted contrast again, and so instead of using the paper and folding it up, I created my own pocket with a piece of paper that is 3.5 inches and there's 2.5 inches showing here. It's by 12 this way. It's 3.5 inches total. I folded it at the 1 inch mark, left the 1 inch on that side, adhered it down here, and again I used more double-sided tape, which I didn't bring all the way up in this case, but so you ended up with a different kind of bucket. Well, different look. You know, it kind of looked better. And let me see, what have we got here? Again, I think we have a regular 12-inch piece of paper. In this case, I did put a pocket on either side, and when I brought it up, I thought it was a little bland, so I cut a piece of it off. So this one might be a little narrower. Let me see here. I have a feeling about this. First of all, that's the story. It is, I did use the full 12 inches, and I did fold it up. I used the 12 inches this way. I folded it up probably somewhere around 2.5 inches up, which means that in this case what I did is I took 1 inch off, and I used that inch to create this. So I cut 2 strips about, you know, 1/2 inch each, and put them on top of my pocket so it wouldn't be so bland. And then I also cut off one of the pieces of one of the corners so that I would see the contrast here. And basically that's all that one is. And I guess you'll get to see that this is a repetition. This is a single, so it's 12 inches by cut 6 inches this way, fold it up, and let me see, same thing here. And some of it is all becomes about decoration. Now this one's a little different, but it's not all that different. The only thing that happened here is I used 2 different pieces of paper, and I did an 8.5. This is Kaisercraft, and I used my 8.5, my 12 again, folded over, and I folded my 12 over, and instead of leaving it open towards the middle, as I have in some cases, or on the side, this time all I did was I cut out the part that goes, okay, this part's not going well. Okay, let's start over. It's 12, again, by 12. It is folded. The only difference is that all the other ones I did the holes on the fold, and this time I did the holes on the open side. And so what I did is I used double-sided tape to close this. I cut a piece of it out, and this is just the regular fold of the paper, as with all the other ones. So basically, this is the same thing as this one, except the holes are over here. So if I had punched the holes here, it would be the same thing. And this is another 6 by 12 pocket. And she's so sweet, Helen from My Little Shoebox. So such a sweet woman. And she thought it was really funny, so we took a picture of the picture in the book. So that's kind of really cute. This is another one that is closed with Velcro, and I know I've got Velcro on top of the picture, but I don't really mind that much. I wanted the picture there. And if you look at this one, again, it's got, actually this one does not have an accordion fold at the bottom. It just has a little piece of cardstock, probably 1/2 inch, maybe 3/4 of an inch I'd say it was if you cut it like 3/4 of an inch and just fold it up, just to make the bottom a little bit more sturdy. And I have some pictures in here of layouts that were taken at my mind's eye with some of the papers. And all I did in this case was I added 2 tabs and I matched the pattern so it's you don't see it as much, but it goes all the way to here. Like, see? So basically the tab again is about 3 inches by an inch. So I have 2 tabs, and again I'm using, you know, the circle Velcro, and it's half a circle. It's just good enough to hold it and not make it too hard to open. And remnants again were used around the. And so it goes. I think we've gone through all the types of folders. If you really need me, I'm going to try and put diagrams of this on my accessible on my blog, and it'll probably take me a few days to do that because I won't be in the studio for a few days. But basically we repeat, okay? Again, take your 12 by 12 sheet of paper, and let me see if I have a spare one here. This is the basic principle, okay? You take your 12 by 12 sheet of paper, you fold it in half. Now in this case this thing is in double-sided, so it's not going to show well. Let me see if I have something that's double-sided available. Here we go. This is double-sided, so maybe do it with this. Not this one. Here we go. Okay, so I think I would want this to be the outside. So I'm going to fold this in half. I would cut this tab off. I'm not going to right now because this video is getting really long. But this is the basic principle of everything pretty much that I did. We're going to pretend that that's not there. And then what I did is I didn't even bother measuring everything. All I did is I went to here, and then I said this is where I'm going to fold. And so I folded this up. Because it doesn't really matter if there's a tiny bit of difference. So you do it like that, and then you do it like this. And it's going to be just about the same size. And I'm going to fold this down just for now so that it doesn't show. And if this video doesn't work out, well, I will just do it again, because for the first time ever I put my video camera way, way, way up there, and I have no idea if this is recording properly. But see, there you go. That's your basic principle. Now you can put, as I did in a lot of them, okay, you can go ahead and put the holes on this side, or you can put the holes on that side, or I could have folded it this way and then decorated the outside differently, and that way my flaps would be on the inside. And then to make it look different, I could have folded this back. In some cases you saw me fold it under and cut it off, so that I had this instead. And had this been on like this, with the holes there, you would have a whole different looking thing, see? You'd still have like a pocket, a big pocket here, pocket there, and then a pocket there, and then this, like this. Or it could be in here like that. Or I could have done something different and added like a strip of paper here. So there you go. It's really not that difficult. Just takes a little bit of imagination on how you want to change it. I could also turn around and, you know, add cardstock to it, put something different on the bottom, not this, but, you know, I could turn around and cut a piece of this material and then just put it on both sides and I have yet another pocket. I could do it like this, and then, you know, there's a great variety of ways that you can make it. So basically, I made life for myself really easy by doing this because I use a 12 by 12 sheet of paper and something like score tape or red line tape and Crop-A-Dile, and off you go.